Doesn't it just suck whenever you feel like you've tried everything to lose weight and shed those extra pounds? You've maybe dieted or tried a fad diet for a while, and maybe it even worked, and then you just kind of started to slowly gain back. Well, I know it can be really frustrating. I've totally been there before. I've worked with a lot of clients that have been there before. So in this video, I want to show you 5 of my favorite tips to help you not only lose weight, but transform that lifestyle so that you don't even have to think about being on a diet or anything like that. And maybe you even start to enjoy it. These are 5 tips that have worked for me in the past and have seemed to work really well for my clients as well. So let's go ahead and jump into it with tip number 1, which is to track where you are. So you know that old saying, if you don't know where you've been, how can you know where you're going? It's kind of similar to that with tracking your nutrition and your food. So what I recommend to all of my clients is you don't have to be like super detailed about everything with the tracking. Like you don't have to get all the macros, you don't have to get all the little micronutrients and all that sort of stuff. But if you could just simply download something like MyFitnessPal or something similar to that and just start tracking and just do it for a couple of weeks, 1 to 2 or even 3 weeks. And let's just see where you're at. You don't even have to change your nutritional habits or anything like that. What I want you to do is get a baseline of, okay, this is how many calories I'm having on average per day. This is how many calories I'm having on average per week. So that way we know we're starting with a baseline of this number that we have, and we have like a good average. And since you may not be used to this kind of tracking, you may find that you're having like 4,000 calories and 1,000 another day and 5,000 another day. But the important thing is that we're tracking long enough, which is about 2 weeks or so, that we can get an average, like an average for what you're having per day. So that would all average out to something like, 3,000 or 4,000 or 2,000 or whatever it may be. So that's the very first step. I don't want you to change anything. I want you to just become aware. Let's become aware of how many calories we're having. And keep in mind, I want you to separate yourself from thinking that calories are bad. There's really technically no good or bad calories. They are just a number of energy that you put into your body. So get in the habit of saying, this isn't bad, this isn't good, this just is what it is, right? So let's go into step number 2, which is to, once we have that number, let's say it's 2,500 calories, or let's say that's your average. And we're also maybe looking at your weight and saying like, hey, we're staying about the same or maybe even gaining a little bit and we're having 2,500 calories a day. What we need to do is step number 2, which is let's dial it back. Let's just dial it back about 200 to 400 calories. So instead of 2,500, let's go down to like 23 or 2,100 or something like that. So just pick a number. Maybe it could be 300, it could be 500, whatever. I would say start lighter though. Maybe like 200 is your best place to start because we don't want to just totally jump into this. Remember, this is going to be a new lifestyle for you. It's not a diet. It's not a fad diet. It's not something you're going to try on, for a couple of weeks, lose a couple of pounds, and then just go back to a normal lifestyle without changing anything. This is something that I want you to just implement for the long run. So what I want you to do is just dial it back about 200 calories or so starting off. You can dial it back more after that. And what you're going to do is just track that again for 1 week, 2 weeks. Let's see what happens. And also make sure to track your body weight that same time as well. Because remember, we don't necessarily want to have this emotional attachment to calories and body weight. We want to use them as statistics. So we have to separate ourselves from the statistics. And if we look at our body weight and we're seeing that we're staying the same, even after losing 200 calories a day or 300 calories a day, you know what? That's actually perfect. There's nothing wrong with that. That's great. So what we need to do from there is just let's cut back another 200 calories and then track again and then repeat the process. So what we have to do is keep cutting back until we find that sweet spot where you're starting to be like, oh, I'm not maintaining anymore. I'm actually starting to lose just a bit. So that's it. We don't even have to think about what kinds of foods we're having or anything like that. With these first 2 steps, it's just tracking, being aware, and then dialing it back just a bit. Step number 3 is where we're going to start to kind of look more at what you're actually eating and stuff. Now, it's easy to say, don't eat junk food, don't eat super processed foods or anything like that. And those things are pretty much true because mostly they just have a lot of calories in them. Like, Like a McDonald's meal is going to have way more calories than even like 2 meals that you could have from home that are healthier, right? But what I want you to more so focus on is the amount of protein you're having per day. Because the more protein you have per day, the more satiated you're going to be throughout the day and the less hungry you're going to be. Not only that, but we all know that protein is extremely healthy for your muscles, your immune system, and so many other functions of the body. Now, how many should you be having? Well, research shows that about 0.6 to 0.7 times your body weight in grams of protein for most people. So if you weighed 100 pounds, you would have 60 grams of protein. If you weighed 200 pounds, you'd want to have 120 grams of protein. So that's a really good starting spot. Now, if you're a bodybuilder or an athlete or someone that's wanting to keep a lot of muscle mass while you're losing, then you might want to bump that up just a tad. Not necessary, but you could, just to be safe, bump it up to like 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day. So if you weighed like 200 pounds, you might have like 200 grams of protein per day. And there's nothing wrong with having an excess amount of protein per day. The only thing is that maybe where you hit your limit on protein, maybe you could have been filling up your body with carbs and other sorts of energy sources. All right, so that was tip number 3. Tip number 4 is not an eating habit, but rather it's about daily movement. Make sure that you're moving throughout the day. So many of my clients, when they first come to me, have started tracking how much they're moving. And typically we track this with steps. And we see that they get like 2,000, 3,000 steps per day. That's better than nothing. That's better than 1,000. It's better than a couple of hundred or whatever. But I encourage you, just like with the nutrition stuff, start tracking for a couple of weeks. Don't change any other habits, just track and let's see where you're at. If you're already like crazy, like a crazy amount, like maybe you have a job where you have to walk all day long, you're getting 10,000 plus, that's excellent. But most people that I work with have a sit down job where they're at home or, whatever, where they're not moving a whole lot and they're getting like 2, 3, 4,000 steps a day. What I would encourage you to do from there is set an ultimate goal of getting about 8 to 12,000 steps per day. Now, it doesn't mean you just change it right off the bat, right? We want to go into this slowly. Just like the nutrition where we were dialing back about 200 calories, 300 calories, not that much. Same thing with the walking. Let's say you're averaging 3,000 steps a day. Just start to bump it up to 4,000 steps per day. Get that on average. Once you consistently get that for a couple of weeks, bump that up to 5,000 with the ultimate goal of eventually getting to 8,000 to 12,000 steps per day until you hit your weight loss goal. But even after that, having something like 8 to 12,000 steps a day is a great goal, even if you're maintaining. It's just excellent. And a lot of studies have shown that it's really good for health and longevity to keep a lot of steps, a lot of movement throughout the day. So that was tip number 4. Daily movement. Tip number 5 is to create 5 to 10 meals that you really love and that can fit within those calories that you've given yourself for the day. So most often when we're talking about meals, most people cycle between about 5 to 10 meals, which is really not that much, with the occasional eating out and stuff like that. But if you can pick 5 to 10 meals and just like put it all together beforehand, but these are meals that you absolutely love. They have enough protein in them. They taste good. They're satiating, all that sort of stuff. And just pick those, put them on a list. And then every single day you can just pick one of those. Like for me, for instance, I've been eating the same thing for breakfast for several years now. I just have an egg, some egg whites. I have some berries. I have some good source of carbs. It could be oats, it could be a bread, something like that. And that works for me. It's perfect. I don't get bored of it. It's something I really enjoy, but I do have some other breakfast options. That's another thing you could do is actually just divide it into breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then kind of have those divided into maybe like 3 meals each that you just cycle between. And keep in mind, those don't have to be something you have every single time, but that's what you're going to be having like 90% of your meals. And then of course you can eat out and enjoy life every now and then as well. So this whole thing shouldn't be just something where you're 100% super strict all the time, but you got to give yourself some leeway. But just make sure that it's all within the boundaries of, tracking and just making sure that the leeway is giving you this much additional calories, right? And that you're still moving a lot and that you just want to become more aware of all of this stuff. I guarantee if you do those 5 steps, that's going to help you not only lose weight, but help you create a healthier lifestyle in general, where you actually probably start to enjoy actually doing this. And then it's not such torture anymore to try to lose weight or to diet really hard. And you're not just like thinking about food all the time, but you're actually enjoying the process. So I encourage you to try this. And if you do, please let me know in the comments down below what you think about it. And also, if you want to know more about what it looks like to actually train and get on a really good fitness routine from home, check out this video right here. and I guarantee you'll find some use out of it. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.